Last week, I came back from a 3-month break, got disqualified within minutes of my first race back, binned the next one into a barrier, and signed off saying my goal for the next few weeks was just to get back to being reliably subpar. So with that bar set comfortably underground, I figured I'd give it another go. This week, I'm back in the AMG GT4 at COTA. 28 drivers, single split, which, if you followed this channel for any length of time, you'll know is my idea of hell. One split means a full spread of aliens at the front, rookies at the back, and somewhere in the middle, me, trying to work out which group I'm actually closer to. Going into practice, the plan was simple. Not trying to win, not trying to chase pace, just trying to get reacquainted with the GT4, which, ever since the last update, has been actively trying to throw me into the scenery at every opportunity. The car's given me the same two problems on every lap. The tyres won't warm up, which means the first 3 laps of every run feel like driving on porcelain. And once they're finally up to temp, the rear decides it's had enough of being part of the car and starts cheerfully detaching itself mid-corner. I genuinely couldn't put a clean lap together. Every time I thought I had one going, the rear would slip, I'd correct it, lose half a second or all my body panels, and then start over. By the end of practice, my confidence was nowhere. But honestly, I kind of made peace with that. Qualifying didn't change much. P17, 16 cars ahead of me, 11 behind. Comfortably midfield, exactly where I expected to be, in the middle of a lobby full of people who almost certainly knew COTA better than I did. So that was the setup. A car I couldn't trust, a track I didn't know, in a single split lobby with too many fast people, after a practice session where I couldn't string 2 clean corners together. Genuinely, all I wanted to do was finish. Before the lights even go green, someone ahead stands on the brakes, starts playing accordion with the pack, slamming on the anchors and bunching everyone up. I tag the guy ahead. Several others do the same. Brilliant. We haven't even started yet.
4, 3, 2, 1.
I do get a half-decent launch. I've got the inside for T1, take a position on the exit, carry it through turn 2, and get a great run into the S's to take another. 3 positions in the opening corners and my brain immediately starts getting ideas above its station. I have to remind myself, stick to the plan. Corner later, I'm staring down the front end of a spun AMG. No idea which way he's going. I go up the inside, clip the grass to dodge the sausage curb. I think I've missed him, but netcode had other ideas. There's a small time penalty for the cut, but I'd scrubbed enough speed that it resolves itself almost immediately. Down at the hairpin, the driver who'd been calling people idiots in the chat before we'd even gone green proceeded to produce the most spectacularly idiotic move I have ever witnessed in sim racing. I genuinely can't find the words, so just watch this. I was the last one past him before he pulled over and quit. I can't say I missed him. Meanwhile, I'm having a constant internal negotiation with my right foot. Every braking zone, the rear wants to overtake the front. Mid-corner feels like a dice roll. Will the grip just vanish? Every lap at this stage is less about pace and more about keeping everything together long enough to matter later. Going into lap 2, I crossed the line in 12th. 5 positions up from where I started. Car in one piece. In this field, on this track, that's not nothing. But before I can even process it, the McLaren ahead pushes too hard through turn 2 and spins. I slow right down, try to read which way he's going to travel once it's all over, and get through cleanly. At this point, there's a big gap behind and a smaller but still meaningful one ahead. For the first time, I let myself look at the relative properly. The gap behind is growing. The gap ahead is shrinking even faster. Quietly, without forcing anything, I'm moving forward. I'm not pushing, not even close. The tyres still aren't where I need them to be, and I know exactly what happens in this car when you ask too much, too early. So I'm managing, being patient, and somehow I find myself right on the gearbox of the pair ahead anyway. I start thinking, if these two start fighting, with a bit of luck, they might just hand me a free pass. Nothing materialises immediately, but somewhere in the background of all this mental arithmetic, a quieter thought surfaces. You're actually doing all right here. You're in control. When did that happen? The S's. I used to genuinely struggle with this section, but something's clicked over the past few laps. And now when I nail every apex back to back, there's this little shot of satisfaction that's hard to describe. It just feels right. The Mustang ahead slows on the hill down to the hairpin. Looks like a slowdown penalty. The blue Mustang sails past and I follow him through on the brakes. His lines are unusual, but they're working in my favour. He's slow enough that I'm in his mirrors on the entry and exit of every corner. I'm all over him, faster, measurably, even at 80%. And that kind of sustained pressure does things to a driver. Penultimate corner, a little too much brake and a little too wide. He spins himself out, I get a twitch on the exit, but I hold it together, and I'm past. One thing I've learned about this track, turn in late to T1 and you carry so much more speed through T2. It's one of those small adjustments that just sounds obvious when you say it out loud, but takes longer than you'd like to actually trust it. As I turn in, the green Mustang shows himself in my mirrors. He's close, genuinely close. And there's something about seeing that in a braking zone that has a very specific effect on your brain. Suddenly every input feels like a question rather than an answer. But I know what's coming. I know my T2 speed is strong. I know I've been pulling time through the S's every single lap. I know the gap is going to show itself. I just have to let it. Through T2 and into the S's, despite what can only be described as a questionable line and brake application at the second apex that I'd rather not dwell on, the gap grows. And that's the thing. It wasn't clean. It wasn't pretty, but the result was the same either way. Sometimes you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be right enough at the right moment. The gap showed itself exactly when I said it would. I'm closing on the car ahead and picking him apart, lap by lap. No drama, just working out where he's strong and where he gives time back. And there's something almost meditative about the process when it's working. You stop thinking about the race as a whole, and it shrinks down to just this. One car, one gap, one lap at a time. Where does he brake? Where does he pick up the throttle? Where is he leaving time on the table without even knowing it? Through the first section, he's solid. If anything, he's edging away slightly, and I let him. Because I know what's coming. The second half of the lap, I'm pulling it back and then some. Every single lap, the gap at the line is smaller than the lap before. And this is the part of racing that doesn't make the highlights. Nobody clips this bit. But this quiet, methodical, unglamorous process of just closing in, this is where races are actually won or lost. Then, after a few laps of that cat and mouse, he just pulls over, moves aside, lets me through without a fight. I genuinely don't know why. Maybe he'd seen enough. Maybe he'd done the same math I had and didn't like where it was heading. Maybe he just wanted a quiet life. Hell, maybe he wanted to see my line through the last section. All I do know for sure, I wasn't going to stop and ask questions. What I was considering asking questions about was what happened just up the road ahead. The standard of driving on iRacing is a conversation that comes up a lot in this community, and every time I think I've seen the flaw, someone finds a way to dig a little deeper. Here's what I keep coming back to. At some point in this race, I'm not sure exactly when, but something shifted. I stopped trying to drive fast and just drove. And I know how that sounds. Every driver says something cliche like that at some point, and it usually comes across as either extremely profound or pretentious, depending on how charitable you're feeling. But bear with me. Because if I'm honest with myself, the majority of my races have followed the exact same pattern. I'm in my own head before the lights go green. I'm thinking about positions, about points, about not repeating whatever went wrong last time. And that weight, that constant low-level anxiety about the outcome, is exactly what kills the process. Today I didn't have that. Whether it was the chaos of the opening lap forcing me to just react, or the tyre situation demanding patience I wouldn't normally give myself, something stripped all of that away, and what was left underneath was actually pretty decent. That's the uncomfortable realization. It's not that I suddenly got faster, it's that I got out of my own way. My finishing position? I'm not going to tell you. Because genuinely, and I mean this, that's not what this race is about. It was about finding something I'd lost. The flow state, the enjoyment. Racing without the weight of expectations sitting on your chest every corner. But here's what's actually sitting with me. I came into this session with a plan. To finish it out, see it through, move on from GT4 and close the chapter cleanly. I'd made peace with that decision, it felt right, and then this happens. Because here's the thing about a race like this. It doesn't just feel good in the moment, it asks you a question. If this is what it looks like when everything clicks, what does that mean for the decision I'd already made? I called myself reliably subpar not that long ago, and I meant it. It wasn't self-pity, it was just an honest assessment of where I was. The bar I was setting for myself was simply to be consistent, to stop being a liability and to be able to finish races. But I'm not sure that bar fits anymore, because today wasn't subpar. Today was controlled, calculated, and if I'm being completely honest, enjoyable in a way this season hasn't been for a while. And that changes something. I don't know exactly what yet. I don't know if it changes the GT4 decision. I don't know if one good race is enough to rewrite a plan I'd already committed to. What I do know is that the question's there now, and I can't unask it. I called myself reliably subpar last week. I meant it when I said it, but I'm not sure I mean it in the same way anymore.